All right, guys, how you doing? I'm Tim Black. I just got through watching a clip of Bernie Sanders being interviewed with Brooke on CNN. And the first question that Brooke asked him tells you everything you need to know.
Okay. Senator, let me turn the page and just ask you about, I'm sure you've seen our new CNN poll out today. It shows you and former Vice President Joe Biden as the front runners in this current race. And my question to you is, will your campaign be more about the contrast that you've clearly been drawing with Biden, or will it be more focused on who can best defeat President Trump?
Well, I think both, to be honest with you. Look, in my view, Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. He's a pathological liar. He's a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe.
She asked Bernie Sanders, she said, hey, you and Biden at the top right now. You're both, the top of the field for the Democratic primary nomination. Are you going to focus more on Biden or are you going to focus on Trump? See, they want to protect Biden already. Yeah, they don't want Biden to have to answer for being Biden. They're already doing it. They're circling the wagons already, trying to demonize Bernie if he campaigns against the person that he's actually competing against for the nomination. They did this same garbage with Hillary Clinton. They said Bernie was bad for pointing out that Hillary Clinton was a corporate neoliberal, that her focus was on the corporations and Wall Street and not on the American people, and that she was full of a bunch of bluster and talk, but not a lot of policies. Okay, so they want to do the same thing with Biden. They want to protect Biden from Bernie, and they're going to blame Bernie if Biden doesn't do well or if Biden's record starts to make him drop in the polls. Why would Bernie be running against Donald Trump for the nomination in the Democratic primary? You're running against Trump when you actually are the nominee, not when you are running against Democrats to get the nomination. So then it moved on, and Bernie, he pointed out things that were different between him and Biden, as he should. He talked about how Biden voted for the Iraq War, how Biden voted to support NAFTA, how he supported NAFTA and the China trade agreement that cost us millions and millions of jobs. He also voted to deregulate Wall Street. That's Joe Biden. And then Brooke interjects, well, yeah, you talked about a lot of differences, but you both supported the crime bill that Joe Biden wrote. And Bernie explained to her that back when that crime bill was up for vote, he was on the Senate floor saying it was bad that they had in there these harsh sentencing. He told her, go to YouTube, you'll see. At the time, I was saying this is too much.
Mr. Chairman, how do we talk about the very serious crime problem in America without mentioning that we have the highest rate of childhood poverty in the industrialized world by far, with 22% of our children in poverty and 5 million kids hungry today? Do you think maybe that might have some relationship to crime? And, Mr. Speaker, all the jails in the world, and we already imprison more people per capita than any other country, and all the executions in the world will not make that situation right. We can either educate or electrocute. We can create meaningful jobs, rebuilding our society, or we can build more jails. Mr. Speaker, let us create a society of hope and compassion, not one of hate and vengeance.
And Brooke pressed him on it, and he said, hey, I signed it because there were other things in that crime bill that were important for my people. There was the Violence Against Women Act that needed to be signed. There was the ban on assault rifles that needed to be signed. So Brooke wanted him to apologize for signing the crime bill, the 94 crime bill that Joe Biden wrote. And yeah, and look, I don't like the fact that Bernie signed that bill. I wish he never signed it. It was a horrible bill. Of course, I'm against it. I talk about how horrible it was and the effect that it had on the black community. Okay? But I think I hold Biden to a higher standard because he wrote the damn thing.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
Brooke cut him off again. She wants to talk about She the People and say, well, the She the People event, you got booed. You wanted to bring up MLK. And hey, I'm one of the very few people that were critical of Bernie bringing up MLK in the context of the question that was asked to him. Okay, not his whole speech. As Bernie points out, hey, I got an applause when I walked out. I got an applause when I walked off. The whole speech, my whole time there was not getting booed. I may have got booed on one question. Okay, so Bernie Sanders is absolutely right. And what I like more about this, more than just him answering her questions, is he was strong. Bernie Sanders was strong, just like he was on Fox. Bernie must continue to treat CNN and MSNBC as adversarial institutions. He must treat them for what they really are. They are out to knock him down and to install Joe Biden. Bernie, you must stay aggressive like you are now. These people are not your friends, Bernie. These people do not mean you well, Bernie. I know you already know that, but do not have a false sense of security when you go on shows like this. Bernie went on to talk about institutional racism. He talked about the 2.5 times infant mortality rate for black women as opposed to white women. He talked about the need about institutional racism when it comes to redlining and black folks getting home loans and at the rate of the interest rates that they get, even when their credit is identical to the white counterparts. He talked about employment and how the disparity between getting jobs for black folks, even when their resumes and backgrounds are identical to a white person's, if they have a black-sounding name, they don't get a call back. A black-sounding name will increase your chances of not getting called back. We know that. That's common. That's a commonly known fact. Studies have been done to that extent. And Bernie Sanders is talking about it. And he says you won't find a person who's stronger on supporting getting rid of discrimination and white supremacy and white nationalism. So I like Bernie's segment. It was a great segment. But more than just the answers, as I stated before, I like Bernie's tenacity. I like the fact he's going after it. He's not going to lay back and let these clowns overpower him. He's not going to be a nice guy. Don't be a nice guy, Bernie. They want to cut your throat and leave you bleeding in the primary. Don't let them do it. We can't let them do it. We can't allow it, Bernie. You're too important. This is too important. This is the future for my kids. This is the future for my grandkids. This is the future for my neighbor's kids. All right, sorry about that, guys. I forgot a very important part of this clip I wanted to tell you about. In fact, my favorite part of the clip. Brooke asked Bernie Sanders about this felony voting rights. And Bernie told her, he said, look, in a lot of other countries, felons get to vote. In a lot of other countries, Canada, Croatia, Japan, they do not attach your crime to the right to vote. A right to vote is what citizens have. And he's going to fight for that. He's going to support it because Republicans want to limit the amount of people that vote. We should be empowering people to vote. 5.4 million Americans can't vote because they did time. That's a horrible thing. And who are most of those 5.4 million people? Disproportionately, it's black folks. That's right. So Bernie Sanders supports it. And Brooke asked him a question, and this is my favorite part, right? This right here. I got a couple favorite parts. Brooke said, well, Bernie, a lot of Democrats don't even agree with you. Only 28% of Democrats agree with you. And Bernie said, so what? You ask me what I think, this is what I think. You ask me what I believe, this is what I believe. A lot of the Democrats didn't agree with me when I said I wanted Medicare for all a couple years ago. That's right, Bernie, they called you crazy when you wanted $15 an hour minimum wage. When you wanted to put, $1 billion into infrastructure improvements? Yeah, they didn't agree with that either. So who cares what people agree with you on? Stand by your ethics and your convictions. That's what I like about Bernie Sanders. Look, for the record, guys, I support felony voting rights, just so you know, because I believe our system is corrupt. I believe that we got institutional racism in our justice system. And if that's the case, then there are people in jail who shouldn't be in jail. It's the same reason why I don't support the death penalty, because I know that statistically, if a black person commits the same crime as a white person with the same record and background, they are more likely to give the black person the needle than the white guy. Because we have institutional racism. How can you say we have institutional racism and then say, well, I'm going to take the system's word on it that this person committed a felony and should be doing time, when we know rich people don't go to jail. At least not usually. And you'll never hear a rich person sitting on death row. So that's why I don't support taking away or disenfranchising felons from voting. And Bernie, once again, is leading on this. He's not waiting for a consensus. And that's the problem that a lot of these Democrats have. You say, oh, I like Elizabeth Warren. I do. But would Elizabeth Warren be leading on a piece of legislation or a thought, an idea that was unpopular? Would she take the slings and arrows from those critics? Would she take the slings and arrows for believing in something that's unpopular just because she believed in it? I think that's what makes Bernie different. And that's why I tell my black brothers and sisters to check him out. We can move Bernie on reparations. We can move Bernie in the right direction for making amends for black folks who have been disenfranchised historically in this country by our government, the U.S. government. Not Becky saying something rude or using the N-word in the parking lot at Walmart, but our U.S. government, which has crippled black folks. So that's what I believe, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm Real Tim Black. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook as once again at Real Tim Black. I see you on the next one. And remember, like I said, the revolution continues. Hashtag not me yes.
Nothing to see here, right? Wrong, because the vice president wouldn't unhand Hillary for almost 16 seconds.
Biden, you better get ready because Bernie is.